Hamilton said it and no one believed it. Ferrari takes a gamble in Bahrain with a radical change. Did it work or was it another disaster? Ferrari didn't sit idly by. Aware of the SF25's poor performance in the first 3 races of the season, the Maranello team brought forward a package of updates originally planned for later. Urgency prevailed over planning. And the key to this entire redesign centered on one element: the car's floor. The new design isn't a simple aerodynamic tweak. It's a complete reconfiguration, a total redesign of the aerodynamic platform that defines the car's handling and ground effect. To understand the magnitude of the change, we must delve into the technical details. The floor vents were modified to redirect airflow more precisely. The leading edge was reworked to reduce turbulence and improve the sealing of the floor. The expansion area leading to the diffuser, crucial for generating rear downforce, was optimized, which is particularly helpful when exiting corners. The rear wing structure was also revised, incorporating a pillar with a completely new fin, designed to maximize efficiency without penalizing drag. Each of these adjustments not only aims to improve raw performance, but also to correct the inconsistencies Hamilton had been complaining about from the start: an unstable rear end, unpredictable behavior in corners of different radii, and extreme sensitivity to changes in ground clearance. The effect of these modifications, in theory, should translate into a more stable and predictable car. That's what Hamilton needs. Since joining Ferrari, he has been clear in his feedback. The car has potential, but it doesn't allow him to drive with confidence. And in Formula One, confidence in the car is everything. It's the difference between attacking the apex or lifting the pedal, between setting competitive times or losing tenths of a second at every corner. Behind these improvements are hundreds of hours of wind tunnel work, CFD simulation, bench work, and precise manufacturing at the Maranello factory. And Ferrari didn't just make the changes, they brought them to the track with impeccable execution. Hamilton openly acknowledged it. He said he knew the effort it took to bring those parts to Bahrain on time. And he thanked the team, because he knows this can mean the difference between a disastrous season or a story of redemption. These modifications are the first major test of the new Ferrari era with Hamilton. It's not just a technical improvement, it's a statement of intent. Ferrari wants to come back. Hamilton knows it. And this floor can be the foundation for his comeback. Lewis Hamilton isn't a driver easily swayed by enthusiasm. After more than 15 years in Formula One, he knows when a car has truly taken a step forward, and when it's just a temporary illusion. That's why his statements after the first free practice sessions in Bahrain caught everyone's attention. The updates are definitely working. That sentence didn't come from an impressionable rookie. It came from a 7-time world champion. And it marked a turning point in Ferrari's narrative this season. It was the first real sign that something had changed, that the work at the Maranello factory hadn't been in vain. But Hamilton didn't stop there. He went further, publicly acknowledging the efforts of the entire technical and development team. He spoke about the work in the wind tunnel, the precision required to manufacture a new floor, the pressure of assembling new parts against the clock and sending them to a demanding circuit like Sakir. He said, "A big thank you to everyone back home for bringing the updates. It's never an easy task." And those words, simple as they may seem, speak volumes. They show a level of involvement, of empathy with his new team, that isn't always seen in a driver who has just arrived. Hamilton was also mindful not to sell smoke. He didn't promise miracles. He was honest in saying that these improvements wouldn't close the gap immediately. But he also made it clear that they could mark the beginning of something bigger. It's good to see we're making progress. We're trying to extract more from it. I hope we can take the right steps overnight. With those words, he conveyed a mix of hope and experience. He knows that improvement in Formula One is a process, not an event, and that the true impact of these updates will only be seen when the car can perform in qualifying and the race under real-world pressure. Another key phrase was when he acknowledged the accumulated learning. "I think we've learned a lot in the last few races. Hopefully, this weekend will be a step forward for us." Hamilton understands that this isn't just a technical struggle, but also a psychological one. Every small bit of progress boosts team morale. Every positive session helps rebuild confidence. And he, as a leader, is handling it with the calm of someone who has been in this situation before and emerged victorious. With his statements, Hamilton not only validated Ferrari's work, but also positioned himself as the emotional and strategic anchor of this project. His approach was not only technical but also human, because he knows that a team like Ferrari not only needs speed to return to the top, it also needs belief. The improvements have arrived, but the on-track results are still not enough. Ferrari managed to advance a complete technical package and Hamilton confirmed that they are working, but the times recorded left no room for triumphalism. The second free practice session in Bahrain was a reality check. Hamilton finished 8th, a full second off Oscar Piastri's best time with McLaren. Even within the team, Charles Leclerc was the best placed, in 4th place and half a second off the lead. That confirms something crucial. The updates are positive but not miraculous. Ferrari has made a step forward, yes, but McLaren remains several steps ahead, both in raw performance and consistency. The SF25, with its renewed floor, showed improvement in certain phases of the circuit, but still exhibited critical shortcomings in high and medium speed corners, as well as worrying aerodynamic sensitivity when the car changes height or is hit by turbulence. Hamilton explained it with surgical precision. We just need consistency, trying to complete the laps, having a car that is easy to drive and consistent throughout the lap. This statement puts the problem at the heart of something that isn't always reflected in the lap times: the car's erratic behavior. What a driver needs to be competitive is a car that responds predictably to every section of the circuit. And Ferrari still doesn't have that at the moment. The team's engineers know that the biggest challenge now is fine-tuning the car to find an overall balance. Because the SF25 performs well in certain sections, but loses ground in others. This variability prevents drivers from building confidence lap after lap. Sometimes it's on corner entry that the car loses traction. Other times it's in the transition between fast corners that the rear end becomes unstable, or even in changes in road height that the floor loses effectiveness. External factors were compounded. The weather conditions in Bahrain, especially during the first practice session, further complicated the evaluation of the new package. Hamilton complained about the grip. The extremely high temperatures turned the track into a grip trap. He described switching from hard to soft tires as a big shock, demonstrating that the car's performance on different compounds is not fully optimized either. All of this highlights something that goes beyond simple floor design or new parts. Ferrari is still struggling to fully understand the SF25. Simulations aren't enough. Wind tunnel data doesn't always translate to on-track performance. And that's precisely what makes the start of the season so challenging. Because even if there's a technical step forward, if it doesn't translate into consistency, it's still insufficient compared to rivals who manage to put every tenth of a second advantage they have in the simulator on track. In short, Ferrari has made progress, but it's still far from its goal. The improvements have begun to close the gap, but they haven't eliminated it. And in Formula 1, closing a 1-second gap doesn't happen overnight. Not even with a champion like Hamilton at the wheel. Because the problem isn't just going fast, it's being able to do it all the time. The Bahrain Grand Prix marked a turning point for Ferrari. The signs of life shown by the SF25 with the new updates not only changed the mood in the paddock, but also reshaped the team's internal calendar. Because beyond the specific result, in Maranello they are already working against the clock with their eyes set on a key date, the Miami Grand Prix. In technical terms, Miami represents a crucial opportunity for Ferrari. It's a highly demanding street circuit with heavy braking, slow corners, and a surface that demands solid traction and good thermal management from the tires. These are precisely the elements where the SF25 still has room for improvement. That's why the Italian team has decided to invest heavily in this weekend. Leaks emerging from within the team suggest that a second wave of aerodynamic and mechanical improvements are being prepared that could surpass even the magnitude of the new surface introduced in Bahrain. There is talk of a revised front suspension to improve the car's response in slow corners, new cooling configurations to adapt to Florida's hot and humid climate, and additional tweaks to the rear to consolidate the stability gains that began to be seen in Sakir. Miami isn't just another race. It's a global media platform. And for a team like Ferrari, which thrives on both technique and narrative, a good result there can completely redefine the perception of the season. It's the ideal setting to turn hope into conviction, to transform doubt into momentum. For Hamilton, Miami is also a symbolic test. He's past the initial adaptation period. He already knows the team, the car, and the environment. What happens that weekend could consolidate his internal leadership, and more importantly, it could mark the moment when his arrival at Ferrari stops being seen as a risky gamble and starts being recognized as the beginning of an era. That's why everything done in Bahrain, every lap, every technical conversation, every piece of data gathered, has the ultimate goal of a single point on the calendar. Ferrari needs to validate that this isn't a one-time improvement, but an upward trend. And that can only be achieved with consistent results. Qualifying in Miami, race pace, tire management, direct comparisons with McLaren, Red Bull, and Mercedes. everything will be put to the test. There are even rumors that Ferrari plans to conduct an additional simulation session specifically for the Miami track, using real-time data from Imola, the previous race. This confirms the obsessive approach they are taking to developing the car. There is no room for error. Every race counts, and every update is part of a comprehensive strategy to once again fight for victories. Ferrari's future in 2025 won't be decided in a single weekend, but it can change dramatically in one. And if what was seen in Bahrain was the first step, Miami could be the leap. A leap that, if all goes well, could rewrite the fate of the season. Lewis Hamilton walks alone in the paddock at the end of practice in Bahrain. There is no celebration, no triumphant gestures, but there is a different outlook. That of someone who has recognized a spark, a possibility. Not the certainty of success, but the conviction that the path they are taking is beginning to make sense. Ferrari didn't win in Bahrain. It didn't dominate the times. But it did achieve something that had seemed unattainable for months. It generated a sense of real progress. After a worrying start to the season, with a car riddled with inconsistencies and a team adrift amid media pressure, the new floor of the SF25 represents much more than a technical improvement. It's a turning point, the first evidence that perhaps this alliance between Hamilton and Maranello can bear fruit. Hamilton doesn't say it directly, but his gestures hint at it. The way he communicates with the engineers, the attention to detail, the sincere appreciation for their efforts. Everything indicates that the British driver hasn't lost faith in the project. And that, in a sport where trust erodes quickly, is crucial. What's at stake isn't just a championship position. What's being defined in these uncertain weekends is the project's credibility. Hamilton didn't come to Ferrari to end his career with nostalgia. He came to make history, to pursue an 8th title that will make him the greatest of all time. And while the mountain to climb is enormous, he knows that every step counts. Bahrain could be that first step that in a few months will be remembered as the start of an epic comeback. It's no coincidence that there's already talk of new updates on the way. Ferrari has its sights set on Miami, with even more aggressive plans. The team has activated all its resources to regain its status. And with Hamilton leading from within, the equation is beginning to change.